Greetings and welcome to STEMGo. Saving time, energy and money in your business, being efficient, being productive. This is what this show is all about. And it's about having some talented people on this show that talk about things that are important to them, that work well in their businesses, and life too, actually. So I'm going to welcome in my special guest today, and my lovely Bronwen Sciortino. Did I pronounce that correct?
Sciortino. Yep. Very, very good.
Awesome. So welcome, Bronwen. How are you this morning?
Yeah, brilliant this morning. It's such a beautiful day and I'm really looking forward to getting into it and getting things done.
Stunning. Well, tell our folks, our audiences, who you are and where you are and what you do so that they can get to know you a bit more.
Sure. So my name is Bronwen and I'm a recovering perfectionist. And a lot of people laugh when I say that, but it's absolutely true. I learned a lot about myself from nearly 2 decades in corporate roles, in executive roles in the corporate world. And I pushed myself so hard for so long and so far that I broke spectacularly and basically dropped in a matter of minutes. So I went from fully functioning, award-winning executive to on the floor, unable to cope in everyday life and unable to stop crying. And so through that process, I learned so much about myself, but also so much about how we are made up as individuals and the way that we get conditioned to end up doing things that don't work for us and that really go against our own energy sources and the way that we can fuel ourselves. And so I wrote my first book as part of my recovery. So Keep It Super Simple was written basically to heal me. And then from there, that's gone out into the world and is now healing people around the world. And so from there, I became an accidental entrepreneur because all of a sudden I had this book out there. People loved it so much. How can we work with you? What else can we do with you? How can we actually get you in front of our people? So I'm in Perth, Western Australia, and just live the coolest life now.
Wow. Hey, that's a stunning story. So yeah, just to summarize, being in the corporate world, basically to the point where would you say burnt yourself out? That's usually the term people use these days.
Yeah, mine was a bit more spectacular than burnout. Mine went like to the complete nth degree of, I was completely shattered into a million pieces. But most people would associate it with burnout.
Rightio. So you, rather than kind of living with that and thinking, oh, this is my lot, you kind of learned to heal yourself. This is how it all started, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
By empowering yourself basically with enough information to say, look, how can I do something different here? How can I get myself out of this? Because this isn't the way I want to be.
Yeah, I guess I had two choices. I could either go back to living the way I was before, or I could make a choice to do things a little bit differently. And so I chose to try and do things a little bit differently because the way that I'd been living before got me to a point that was excruciatingly difficult to recover from. Sure. So I sort of thought, well, how can I do things differently so that I don't have to experience this again?
Sure, absolutely makes sense. So talk us through some of the things that you did, some of the things that helped you to simplify life and to get you back on your feet. That may be really crucial for our audience to maybe not implement all of these things, because for you went to extreme levels, but everybody at some point has these points where they have downtime or time where they just don't feel motivated or time where they feel overwhelmed by something. It's pretty kind of normal these days in business, to small business especially, where you're on your own, you've got kind of very little support, to be able to give us some ideas of how people can help themselves to simplify their lives.
Yeah, I think probably the first thing that I talk to people about, and something to be aware of, is that being stressed and exhausted is not something that's unique to being in the corporate world. That's just where I was, and that's where I had my experience of it. So it's actually something that is really common across all walks of life. And I think possibly the easiest way to start to do things a little bit differently is to start to get a little bit curious with your own life. So start to really question and understand some of the messages that you're given. So, for example, we're taught at the moment that you have to be stressed and exhausted before you can be successful. So if you're not, burning the midnight oil, and if you're not, working as many hours as you possibly can in the day, if you're not completely busy, if you're not overwhelmed, if you're not, feeling like you're really slogging it, then there's no way that you can be successul. So start to really question some of those messages and really start to understand some of the things that we just accept without even thinking about them.
Yeah,
and one of the ways to do that is to just start asking really simple questions, so that you can get yourself out of the autopilot mode and back into a really conscious connection with the decisions that you're making in life.
Yeah.
The examples I've got around that is when, I accidentally became an entrepreneur, and all of a sudden I had my own business that I was looking after. And I suddenly felt like I knew nothing because I'd stepped into a brand new industry. It was relatively new to me. And so all of a sudden I was out there and I'm trying to find all these experts to tell me what I needed to do for my business. And all the advice that I got was based around, it has to be structured in this way. This is going to be your main focus. This is what you need to do. You have to go to this mini event. You've got to do all of these things. And so I structured my business that way and went down that path. And, sort of 9 months in, it was a slog. I was struggling to get out of bed in the morning. I wasn't interested in what I was doing because my entire business wasn't structured to match who I was.
Okay.
So, I really needed to take a step back and start to say, well, hang on, who am I? What are my strengths? Where are my talents?
Yeah.
What do I want my business to look like? What do I want to be doing in my business? How do I want to be doing that? And as soon as I restructured on that basis, all of a sudden, I've got a global business that I love. I get up every morning. My day is structured to support me. And it's so much fun. It's so cool. I have such a cool life, and everything I do in my business now is supported around that. So it's so important to question what you're told. And yes, these people may appear to be experts in the industry, and yes, what they're telling you might work for them in their business, but that doesn't mean that you have to jump in and do exactly the same thing. It's so important to find your own path and the things that work for you.
That makes sense, and takes a little bit of courage, I would say, because it's to go against what you're being told, isn't it? Go against what you're being told you should do and say, look, hang on a minute. This ain't working for me. This is not what I need. I'm not happy. I'm not happy in this situation. I've got to look back at what I need, Yeah,
and I think courage is one of those words that automatically makes people feel like something's going to be hard. So instead of courage, I think start to view things a little bit differently and really start to transition to a place of trust. So don't worry about courage, because courage, you've literally been conditioned that courage is hard. So transition to trust, and trust that you know the answers that are best for you. So when you ask yourself your own questions and just allow yourself to have your own answers, you can trust that where you're going is the right direction for you. And then you don't have to worry about courage and discipline and those things that just seem like they're really hard.
That's awesome. That's a really good reframe, actually. A deconstruction, as we call it. We like that.
And it just makes it simpler. It just makes it easier for you to take the steps.
It does, doesn't it? And how else? What other things do you do now to have fun and to laugh and to feel creative in your business?
Yeah, one of the really important things that I do is understand your own energy source. So understand how your energy flows as an individual, because what we don't do enough is refuel our energy tanks. So a lot of us are draining energy from already dry energy tanks because we don't understand how our energy recharges. So start to connect with the things that make you feel really good, the things that you walk away from feeling like you're really, you've had a great time, you're not tired from them, you're actually sort of energized from them, and understand what those are for you. And it might be that is going out with friends and family to a noisy pub and there's loads of people around and there's a buzz and there's a hype, but it also might be something that's much more inwardly focused. So it might be a walk on your own at the river. It might be some meditation. It might be some yoga. It might be something that's very sort of quiet, inwardly reflective. So understand who you are and what you need, and then make sure that you get that regularly, sort of as much as you possibly can, so that you're actually feeding your energy tanks, and then you've got so much more to give. And you're not dragging yourself out of bed in the morning after that alarm goes off thinking, oh my God, I cannot believe it's time to get up. So for me, I have my very first thing in the morning, I have meditation, and then I have some form of movement, and that's usually on my own, because that's how I refuel. And I guard that time in my diary. There are appointments in my diary, and I guard that time ferociously. That is the only thing that is non-negotiable in my diary. Everything else is flexible. I can move around it. But those things, I know if I don't have them, I don't have enough to give to everybody else and take my work into the world.
Yes. So there's another important point there, isn't there, Bronwen, about creating boundaries of time that you don't give away to other people, and at all costs. They are your times, for sure. You kind of guard those with such protection, because if they go, then what's left? What have you got for yourself?
Well, it's not even about what you've got nothing to give to anybody else if you've got nothing left yourself.
Yes.
And you can do what I did, and you can push and push and push until you've got nothing left to give, and then find more to give. And I can guarantee you'll end up on the floor broken, and it's not a pretty journey back from that. So, take the time now, take those little steps, just to give yourself the self-compassion that you would give, as much compassion for yourself as you would give to everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That's some great,
and then you can constantly give.
Great tips. That's awesome. All packed into a very short show. Sorry, folks, about the break in the middle. I'll do something about that if I can. So where can people get hold of you in terms of getting some help from you and being part of your business? How can they find you?
Yeah. So best place to go is either the social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or to my website, which is www.SheIQlife.com. So that's SheIQlife.com. And all the contact details are on the website as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm sure you're going to have a lovely time over there in Perth. It sounds like a stunning day.
Yes, beautiful.
And yes, enjoy. And thanks for coming on the show. All the best.
It's been fantastic chatting to you, Karen. Bye.
Thanks. Take care. Bye. Whoa. Hi, guys. Just to say, there was although that was action-packed and we talked about a lot in just 15 minutes, there's some really important messages going on there. Bronwen's been to a place where not a lot of people want to be, and she doesn't want to go back there. And she made something important happen for her to make changes in her life and ultimately in her business to make that business work for her. And I think that's the important message here is don't always listen to what you're told. We're used to, as kids, being taught things at school, being told by our parents, and we absorb that information uncritically. And what Bronwen's saying there is be critical, be discerning of some of the things that are coming your way that's telling you to do things, because ultimately if you're doing it, you're unique. There's no one else like you, and you've got to do it the way that works for you. So I hope you have an awesome day. If you want to learn more about being productive in your business, you can come over to STEMGo, Saving Time, Energy and Money, Facebook page, and on there you'll get lots of links to lots of other things, content and other YouTube videos, etc., etc. So look forward to you coming on there, connecting with me, and let's be more productive in our businesses. All the best for now. Have a great day, and I'll love to talk to you soon. Bye for now.